Hey everyone, it's Mindy Banks, the Flip Flop Chef. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I want to show you how to make Tuscan Chicken Spaghetti using Pampered Chef's quick cooker. If you have an InstaPot or another brand pressure cooker, you can certainly make this recipe in whatever pressure cooker you have. So let's go ahead and get started. I've gone ahead and done a lot of the prepping here, so this should go pretty quickly. I also hope to have time to show you guys how to make garlic Parmesan pull-apart bread. So I've got the oven preheated and I have those ingredients prepped as well. So hopefully this will go as planned. While you're watching, please leave a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. Please like the video, share the video. Feel free to invite your friends to join us live. If you have any questions at any time, please leave them in the comments and I'll answer all the questions once the video is over. So let's go ahead and get started. So if you have Pampered Chef's quick cooker, let me know in the comments. If you have another brand, let me know what brand you're cooking with. So this is Pampered Chef's quick cooker right here, and it has pre-programmed settings. So I'm going to zoom in so you guys can check this out. 16 pre-programmed settings. We're actually going to start on the sear setting, and then we're going to use a custom setting to cook the pasta. So I'm going to go ahead and take the lid off. Let me just zoom out a little bit. I've just got the inner pot in here right now. So this is a 6-quart inner pot. I'm going to turn this to the first pre-programmed setting. This is the sear setting, and I'm going to press start. So I'll zoom out. You do get a cooking guide with our quick cooker. It looks just like this, and you're going to love the recipes in here. But the best part of this is the cooking guide, because it tells you how to use all of these pre-programmed settings, and there's a digital version of this in my recipe group. So if you're not already a member of my recipe group, I hope you'll go to theflipflopchef.com, or you can go to Facebook and search for the Flip Flop Chef and look for the recipe group. Join the group, and this is in the files section. So you've got a cooking guide that comes along with this, or you can access the digital copy if you need it. I'm going to add just a little bit of oil right inside the pot, a couple tablespoons, and I'm going to let that heat up. What I've already prepped ahead of time are about 2 pounds of chicken tenderloins. I went ahead and cut these into bite-sized pieces. It just makes serving this and eating this later a lot easier. So we've got this ready to go. I'll go ahead and take the lid off so it's good to go. Let's get our onion and our garlic ready to go in this pot. So right now, we're just waiting for the pot to get hot. It takes about 2 minutes. We're 1 minute in. This is our simple slicer. It comes with 3 thicknesses on this blade setting. So 1, 2, or 3. We're just going to go right in the middle, number 2. Slide the food holder up from the bottom. I'm going to slide our pasta out of the way. And we're just going to place this peeled onion right inside of this food holder here. And then you're going to pierce it with this. Now, if you're just joining us, we're making Tuscan Chicken Spaghetti, and we're actually going to use like shells pasta instead of spaghetti because I didn't have any of that on hand. But if you're just joining us, you guys are going to love this. I'm showing off Pampered Chef's quick cooker. Drop a comment below. Let me know where you're watching from, and if you're watching the replay, let me know where you're watching from as well. So let's go ahead and slice this up. I've got this sitting on top of one of our cutting mats. I'm just going to slice this up. All right, now if you ever end up with these little pieces here, go ahead and lock this so it lowers that blade down so you don't have to worry about cutting yourself. This is dishwasher safe, so I'm going to set this in the sink. And then we're just going to cut these in slices and then cut it in half and then into quarters is what I want to do for this. So we're at 2 minutes. That's about how long it takes for this pot to heat up. So I'm going to go ahead and add in the onions. You hear that sizzle? All right. And now I'm going to add in our chicken chunks. So these are just chicken tenders that I cut into bite-sized pieces. I'm going to throw them in with the onions. All right. And we're going to get some garlic ready for this. For this recipe, we're going to use the garlic slicer. So I've got a few cloves of garlic here, got our garlic peeler and our garlic slicer. So what I'm going to do is I'll zoom in here so you can see this a little bit better. We're going to take a clove of garlic, stick it right in this little silicone tube. This is the garlic peeler. So instead of using my fingernails to peel all of that paper skin off of the garlic clove, I'm just going to stick it in here. You press down and roll. And it just rubs that paper skin right off. Now, you might not be able to hear it because the quick cooker is sizzling so much, but you can actually hear the paper being rubbed off of the garlic. All right. I'm actually gonna do 4 of these. We do have a garlic press, and I'm hoping that I'll have enough time to show you guys how to make the garlic Parmesan pull-apart bread in just a little bit, and we're gonna use the garlic press for that. If you're wondering when to decide which product to use, you can, whoops, I smushed that one a little bit. If you want a really intense flavor of garlic, then I would recommend using the garlic press, which hopefully we'll have time to use this in just a few minutes. But if you want a mild flavor, I recommend slicing it. And so we're gonna take apart the slicer. I'm gonna put 2 of these garlic cloves right inside, and then you just basically put this on the top. I'm gonna hold this so that you guys can see. Do you see these super thin slices that you get with this garlic slicer? So let me zoom out a little bit, and you'll be able to see all this steam coming up from our quick cooker. We're gonna slice this garlic. Now you guys, if you ever need to brown ground beef, or if you wanted to make something like you would do in a large stock pot on your stovetop, you can use the sear setting. Very rarely do I use this stovetop anymore. I just use the quick cooker because I love that sear setting. It's great to brown ground beef for whatever recipe I might need it for. All right, so you see how we're just slicing all of this garlic in? All right. Lots and lots of flavor there. All right, so what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna stir this a little bit, and then I'm kind of gonna just let the chicken sit, because I wanna give it a chance to kind of sear a little bit and just cook. And we'll stir it just a little bit, but you don't have to stir it. You can let it sit for just a little bit. So while we're letting this cook, I wanna tell you about the garlic Parmesan pull-apart bread. So let me grab my cast iron skillet. It's right behind me here. What I have here is the 10-inch cast iron skillet. What I love about Pampered Chef's cast iron is they come to you pre-seasoned. So you can open the box. We do recommend that you wash things before you use them the first time, but after that, it's ready to go. You don't have to season it. You don't have to do anything special to it. We are gonna preheat this cast iron in the oven. I have it preheated to 350 degrees. We're just gonna put it in there for just a few minutes to melt this butter. So I'm gonna go ahead and just drop this in the oven. Hang tight. All right, I'm gonna set a timer because, whoops, let's see. Whoops, I think that one's broken. I wish we still sold this timer. You can tell mine are really old. All right, just a couple minutes. I don't want to forget about it. We're gonna go ahead and get the biscuit dough ready. I just have a can of biscuits that I went ahead and opened up. We're gonna cut these like monkey bread. So if I had to guess, I bet most of you guys cut monkey bread using scissors, and that works just fine. You can quarter them, but we're gonna use our pizza cutter. It's just a lot faster to do it this way. So I like to use the pizza cutter for this. So you just lay them all out like this. We're gonna slice in one direction, and then we're gonna slice in the other. And these do not have to be perfect. I'm not worried about that at all. And I'm gonna set this aside because we actually need to shred some cheese. But I'm gonna stir this up real quick. Got a nice brown color on the bottom. Just give that a little stir. Let me grab my blender. I don't have enough counter space for all these cool products I'm showing you guys. Let me plug this in. And let me peek at our butter. All right. A little bit longer. Okay, so while we're waiting on the butter, I want to show you guys how to shred cheese using the Deluxe cooking blender. So if you guys have the blender, I need you to comment in the chat below, because this cooking blender is one of my most used, most favorite products. So today, we use this just today to make protein shakes, smoothies. I made tomato basil soup. You guys can watch for that video and recipe coming soon. I also use this to make a combo nut milk, so an alternative milk. You can use the blender for so many different things. Now, what I want you guys to see here is the display is right here. You control everything with this little wheel. I'm gonna turn this so I can see it and can work it. I'm gonna take this lid, put it on the top, and if you've never shredded cheese in your Deluxe cooking blender, you guys get ready, because this is just amazing. So I've got some Parmesan cheese right here. Why don't I zoom in on the blender so that you can see what's happening in here. So I am gonna lock the lid, but I'm not gonna use the little clear cap. So I'm taking that off. I'm gonna turn this to the grind setting. Let me peek at my butter real quick. A little bit longer on there. All right, so we're gonna use the grind setting, and I'm just gonna take these little cubes of cheese and I'm gonna drop them right in the top of the cooking blender. So I'll open that, make that a little bit wider so you can see, but you wanna start this before you put the cheese in. All right, and you're gonna do this kind of fast. A little bit more. And that's it. So we basically have like pizzeria cheese in our cooking blender. So that was just a brick of Parmesan cheese. So let's do 30 seconds more, whoops, not 3 minutes, on the butter, and then we're gonna mix all this together. So let me set the blender aside because we don't need it anymore and it's taking up some space over here. But our chicken is looking really good. My kitchen is smelling really good. Now, if you noticed, I kind of covered the top while I was dropping the cheese in there. So there's a little bit of mess. So I'm just gonna tilt this over and drop that out. And what I'm gonna do is transfer this back into the same container. There we go. And then we can actually use the heated wash cycle, or this is really easy to wash out when you're using this for shredded cheese. So we'll set this aside. Let me check on the cast iron skillet here. All right, looks good. So let me make some space for this, and then we will mix this up. We're gonna use that garlic press and just stir this chicken. I think the timing on these two recipes is gonna be perfect. So I'm gonna grab the cast iron skillet and I'm gonna use these mini oven mitts right here. I love these, they completely cover your hands. So let me make space for it and grab it. All right, so the butter's mostly melted. Okay, I'm gonna leave these kind of sitting right here so I don't accidentally burn myself. I'm gonna use the garlic press now. So let me zoom in again. And we're gonna take a clove of garlic. I'm not peeling these like I did before. Stick it in the garlic press and just press it right into the pan. And then you can use the little cleaning tool that comes with it to scrape this off. And then check this out. That garlic peel is right there. So we can toss that in the pile with the other ones. Press another one in here. You could use 3 or 4 if you want. I'm just gonna use 2 for tonight. This recipe was actually requested by Connor, which is unusual because he's kind of the picky eater in our household. So I was like, all right, I'll make it. So hopefully he will eat it. He's been asking me for it for a few days. All right, so I just added a teaspoon of Pampered Chef's Italian seasoning. If you've never used our Italian seasoning before, it is fantastic. You will love the flavor and it's great for all your Italian dishes. All right, I'm gonna zoom back out here. I'm gonna take these biscuit pieces, stick them in the pan here. We're just gonna toss these. I didn't do a very good job slicing that one. My cubes are not very even, but as I always say, it says pampered, not perfect, right? All right, give this a quick stir, and then we're about ready to add that in. So what I'm gonna do real quick is just toss these biscuits in this butter mixture. You could do this in another bowl if you wanted to, but I like to do it right here in the pan. And it's like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. These got a little bit room temperature because I was prepping everything and they were sitting out. But if you take them right out of the fridge, they're not gonna stick together like that. So we'll just sort of spin this around, get them all coated in that yummy, yummy butter. This is all gonna bake together anyways, so it doesn't matter if it looks pretty right this second. All right, let me put this in the oven. I gotta cheat. Look at my recipe. I think it's 15 minutes, but let me cheat. Yeah, we're gonna start with 15 minutes. You can make this in a bundt pan too if you wanted to. Whoops, I need to throw this one away. All right, now, oh, I didn't put the cheese in there. Y'all, it says pampered, not perfect. I'll add some of that in just a little bit. We'll add it on the top. I knew I was forgetting something, but let's go ahead and get this in. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna deglaze this pan with some wine. You can use Chardonnay, but this is Pinot Grigio. It's just what I had on hand. So I'm gonna deglaze the pan. 3/4 of a cup of wine. I didn't measure it. Just throw that in there. And then we're gonna add a pound of pasta. Now, if you remember earlier, I said we're making spaghetti, but I don't have any spaghetti noodles, so we're just gonna use something that I had in the pantry, and these are just shells. So we're gonna toss these in. And then I'm gonna add some chicken broth. So I've just got a whole box of chicken broth here. This recipe is so easy. You basically just cook the chicken, onions, and garlic. Then you're gonna deglaze the pan with wine, and you could skip the wine. So if you don't wanna do that, leave the wine out and just add extra chicken broth. So I'm just gonna pour this whole box in there. Give it a stir, and then we're gonna add some fire roasted diced tomatoes. Now, the recipe calls for fire roasted, and I swear I had a can of fire roasted tomatoes, but I couldn't find it. So I've got just regular diced tomatoes. We're gonna use the smooth edge can opener. You just hook this up against the edge of the can, give this a twist all the way around until you bypass your starting point, and then you're gonna turn counterclockwise to release the can. And then you can just peel this lid right off. Really easy. It's a smooth edge on the can. We're gonna toss this can of tomatoes in. I'm not gonna drain this. Since I didn't have fire roasted tomatoes, I wanted to add a little bit more flavor. So I have this jar of pesto. It is a sun-dried tomato pesto. So I think it's gonna add a really good flavor. So I'm gonna add some of this in. I always like to try new things anyways. So I'll just throw in the whole jar here. This recipe makes a ton of food, by the way. So if you have a big family, you're gonna love this. If you have a small family, this is great for leftovers. I tend to like pasta left over the next day better than the first time. So if you're like me, then you're gonna really like this. So let me stir this up. We're gonna add in some salt and pepper, and then I'm gonna pop some cheese on top of our bread, and we'll get this all finished up. Got a couple more things to share with you. The cook time on this, once we put the lid on and it comes to pressure, is only 5 minutes. So the pressurizing time does take a little bit of time, but I'm gonna show you some fun things while we're waiting on that. All right. So with your pressure cooker, you wanna make sure you press the seal in all the way around to make sure that it's going to actually seal up and you're not gonna have any moisture leaking around the edges. We're gonna make sure that our steam cloud is flush. I'm gonna zoom in because I gotta show you this fun feature. So this is my favorite feature of the Pampered Chef's Quick Cooker. It's a steam release valve. You see when I push that, it just pops that little steam cloud up. So I don't actually have to touch this with my hands when it's done cooking. So let me expand back out and put the lid on here. I'm gonna press cancel because now we're not searing. We're not using this like the stovetop anymore. We're gonna do custom, which is high pressure. So if you don't know what setting to use, because there are 16 pre-programmed settings, if you don't know, but you have a recipe that says to go with high pressure, just use custom. So custom, and then time, I'm gonna reduce the time down to just 5 minutes. And then press start. This should come to pressure pretty quickly because the pot is already hot. Let me add a little bit of this cheese to the Parmesan bread. It wouldn't be Parmesan bread without the cheese. So y'all hang tight, I'll be right back. I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do to finish this up. All right. Looks great. Now, the rest of this Parmesan cheese is actually gonna go into our pasta. So if you're just joining us, we're making Tuscan Chicken Spaghetti, but we're using shell pasta tonight. We're using Pampered Chef's Quick Cooker. If you haven't already dropped a comment below, please let me know where you're watching from, if you're watching the replay, or if you're watching me live. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those after the video's over. So this is one of those recipes that you can add a little bit of bacon to, or you can add a lot of bacon. I confess I'm not a huge fan of bacon, so I could take it or leave it pretty much anytime. Most people are shocked by that because people who love bacon could live off of it. So I'm actually gonna leave this bacon on the side. But what I wanna show you guys here is how I cooked it before I started this video. So this is Pampered Chef's nonstick stainless wok. If you have one of these, I know you love it, drop me a comment below, let me know what you use it for the most. But you can see I just went ahead and cooked some bacon nice and crispy. This is about 1.5 pounds. The recipe calls for 1 pound. My husband is one of those that loves bacon. So too much bacon is not a problem, right? So I'm not gonna stir this into the pot. I'm actually just gonna let him add in what he wants. And Christian will probably want bacon in his as well. So I love that I can use this fish spatula. It is metal, and you can use it on the inside of this pan. It doesn't scrape the pan. It is dishwasher safe, and it is amazing. So you'll notice that this has a non-stick coating, but hopefully you'll be able to see the stainless grid. It's basically just like a grid on top of the on top of the non-stick that gives you the ability to sear your food while you're cooking it. So it's amazing. It doesn't stick to the pan. If you've ever cooked in stainless before, you probably burned something, you probably ruined your pan, or it took you forever to get it clean and you never wanted to try it again. So I highly recommend the nonstick stainless cookware, and the wok is amazing. It's nice and deep. It comes with a glass lid. You can't go wrong with this. Let me set this aside. All right, and we're not up to pressure yet, but hopefully we will be soon. So in the meantime, I'm going to show you how to grate up some fresh basil using our herb mill. Basil is my favorite of all herbs, so I'd love to hear from you guys. Tell me what your favorite herb is and what you like to cook with it. So I tend to cook with cilantro more than anything else, but I absolutely love basil. So to chop this up, we're going to use the herb mill, and this has got several pieces. So I'm just going to pop these 2 pieces apart. This little ceramic ball goes into this little clear piece. This is going to be a weight to push the herbs into this mill. So you're going to put the herbs on top of the ball, stick this in like this, and we're going to just shake this up a little bit. All right. And the reason I did that is just so that we could get a little bit more oil out of those herbs. And check this out. It'll just grind those up right into my little bowl. I probably could have used 3 times as much basil, but I admit I do not have a green thumb, and I really am going to want more than that. So I'm going to have to cut some more off. I bought like a basil plant today. Those of you guys who are friends with me on Facebook, I sent out like a help me post on how to keep my basil plant alive. So if you guys have any tips on that, let me know in the comments. I shop at Aldi pretty much exclusively, and they almost never have fresh basil, but today they had basil plants, and so I was like, I'm getting this because I wanted to make the tomato basil soup, and I wanted to make this recipe today, and basil is important in both of these recipes that I'm talking about. So I was really excited that they had some. So I'm going to chop some more basil because that's just not enough. But once this is up to pressure, I don't think we're going to have enough time in the video to cover all of this, just because I don't want there to be a bunch of dead time. But once this comes up to pressure, it's going to cook for 5 minutes. That 5 minutes, when it's up, I'm going to release the pressure. So that's a quick release, meaning that when the time is up, you don't have to wait for it to slowly release the pressure. And when it's time to do that, I'm just going to press the release button, let all the steam out. I'll take the lid off. I love that this is a stay cool body, so I don't have to worry about burning myself. I know some of the other brand pressure cookers on the market can get really, really hot because they have a lot of stainless steel exposed. So I love that I don't have to worry about that with the quick cooker. When it is done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 cup of heavy cream. I'm going to stir it in. We're going to put it on sear. So you remember how we did the chicken? We started like we were cooking right on the stove top, and we'll put 1 cup of heavy cream in there, give it a stir, and then I'm going to stir in a whole bag of fresh spinach leaves. So I will tell you, my husband hates spinach. He hates when I cook with spinach, but if you're watching and you have people in your family that also kind of get a little bit upset when there's spinach in their food, this is a whole bag of spinach and it will wilt down to almost nothing. If they want to pick it out, they can. It's not really hard to do that, but there is so much nutrition right here in this bowl. And so I love spinach, and since I'm the one cooking, it goes in our food every once in a while. So we're gonna put this whole bag of spinach into the pot, and then I'm just gonna stir it and let it wilt down. I'm gonna stir in all of this Parmesan cheese, because if you guys know me, if a little cheese is good, a lot's better. So whatever recipe you're using, if it tells you to put in 4 ounces of cheese, go ahead and make it 8. If it tells you to use 8, go ahead and make it 16. Double the cheese and you'll always be happy with the results. So the spinach is gonna go in, the heavy cream, the cheese, and then you could put the bacon in if you wanted to, but I'm gonna leave it out just for them to add in if they want, and then the fresh basil as well. I will be posting all these recipes. Actually, this one is already in my recipe group at theflipflopchef.com. If you're a member of the group already, you can easily go there and type in Tuscan and it will pull up the recipe for you. If you're not a member of the group, I hope you'll join the group. It's really easy to find. If you're on Facebook, just search for The Flip Flop Chef. Look for the one that says recipe group. And if you're not on Facebook, just go to theflipflopchef.com. It will redirect you to my page and you'll be able to find the recipe there. Or you can always text me or send me a message if you have some issues finding it. So if you guys have any questions about anything, please let me know. I will post pictures of the bread. I've got about 4 more minutes on that. I'm still waiting for this to come up to pressure. So, but the lid is getting a little bit tight on there. So I think we'll be up to pressure pretty soon. I always enjoy hearing from you guys. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. Make sure you leave your questions in the comment section below and I will be in touch. Y'all have a great evening.